What's up, guys? My name is Luke. Welcome back to Motion and Design. So yeah, I'm trying out a different microphone today, seeing as though my camera wasn't working. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the audio quality, whether you like having me in the video or not. I don't know, usually I thought it'd add like a little bit of personality, but maybe it doesn't matter. But yeah, I thought I would go and show you guys pretty much a breakdown of how I created this kind of like abstract look over here. I was inspired by this artist. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. I'll put it up on the screen, but it was just kind of like this like abstract artwork, and I really wanted to create something like that, but in 3D. And this is what I ended up creating, just like a bunch of different weird shapes using different textures, just creating this like pretty cool composition. I did two versions of it. I did this one, and then there is the second one over here when it decides to load, which is the exact same. It's just with a different, some different colors. Pretty much the same textures, just different colors over here. So yeah, I thought I'd show you guys how I did this. It's pretty simple, but it's quite fun, and yeah, I hope you guys learned something and enjoy it. Cool, so let's go into our project over here, and let's just set up our scene. So I'm going to set up a camera over here, and let's just center all of those, go into output settings, and then let's set this to like 1K. I'd probably set it to 2K when it comes to rendering, but for now 1K is perfect. And then let's just move this back. Cool, so let's start out by just creating some shapes over here. So let's go over here. I'm going to take a sphere, so it's like 50 to a, where is it? Hemisphere over here. We can close this for, actually I'll keep it up just so we can kind of get like the general composition over here. Then let's go add another sphere. Let's bring this down over here. I just want to go NB, and I want to change this to, actually then I'll keep it as like that. Do that, and let's add like another one over here. I'm using, if you press W, you can change like world axis. That means we can keep everything in the same line over here, which is kind of what I wanted, because I kind of wanted it to feel like a flat piece over here. Cool, then let's grab a cylinder, or no, let's grab a capsule over here. Let's change the radius to something like that. Let's add a few more segments into it. There we go, like that. Press shift while clicking on the bend deformer. Let's bend it something like that, and then maybe just increase the radius a bit. Actually, I'm not going to keep this up. We'll just wing it and see what we end up creating. Cool. So let's bring this down over here. Maybe rotate it a little bit. Bring it back. And let's just make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think something like that works a little bit better. Cool. Let's just change it so it's a little bit even spacing. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I did in my render. Just kind of have two of these that are kind of overlapping each other. Cool, we got that. And then let's go and create some like weirder looking ones. So let's start by selecting a spline over here. Let's go into our front view. Just want to hide these bend deformers so that they don't take up the scene over here. And let's draw out like a weirder kind of shape. Yeah, I think that looks kind of cool. Let's just refine it a little bit. Maybe just bring this like here. Bring this here. Do that like that. Bring this down a bit, and then just grab this top one, also bring that down. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this audio. I don't know, right now it's kind of weird. I'm so used to having the different audio, so yeah, let me know what you guys think. And then also, let me just delete this so that it ends over here. Cool. Then let's go and put this into a sweep, and let's grab a circle and put that into our sweep as well. Let's set this to like 2, maybe something like 15. Cool, so now we want to make this a little bit weirdly shaped. So let's go into our sweep, go into this details over here, and then let's go and create something cool. So I know that I want the ends to be like sharp. And then if you click in between, we can add some like points. If you it's control click, and now you can add a bunch of different points so that at different places they are either thicker or less thick. I know there's no right or wrong with this, just mess around until you make something you think looks cool. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Let's also go into our spline over here, because at the moment you can see that our subdivisions are not even, but we can fix that by going over here and change this from adaptive to something like natural, and then let's increase this. Cool, now you can see it's evenly divided over here. I think the only thing, actually I was going to say I don't like this, but I actually do like that. I think it looks pretty cool. Cool, let's go over here, let's create a cube. Let's maybe make this like 50-50, like that. And then I want to go out of my camera over here, and let's just create like a kind of weird shape. So I'm going to grab this, drag these out like that, just something like that. Let's go over here, click US. Cool, and then let's take this, put it into a displacer. And in our displacer, let's select a noise. Cool. And let's just increase this a bit. Yeah, something like that looks kind of cool. Yeah, let's go back into our camera. Let's put our cube over here, and let's decrease the size to like 0.7. Just so it fits into this little space over there. And then let's create something over here. So let's go back into our front view, and let's create another one of these splines. And let's go like, oh, why is that? Is it this one? Go back here. Yeah, something like that should be good. Let's just distribute this a little bit more evenly. And also, I can see our cube is a little bit messed up now. Let's just bring down our height over here. I think something like that should be fine, but maybe let's increase this to like 250. Yeah, I think that's better. And also, let's add some like speed onto it. So maybe like 1. Yeah, I think that's cool. Something weird like that. Let's take our sweep over here. Let's just duplicate it. Delete the spline. Put this spline into it. And let's increase the size of this. Cool. So this is a little bit too weird for me. I think I want to delete this. Let's delete this as well. And let's maybe make this a little bit smoother. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Kind of fits quite nicely there. Let's just take it and move it over a bit, maybe rotate it so that we have like a kind of cool composition over here. And I think the only other thing I want to do is just let's add like another sphere over here. And let's make this one a bit bigger. And this one can go like there. Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool composition. I think the only thing I want to do is let's just grab this and let's move this over a bit. Yeah, I think that looks kind of cool. Cool, I think that's like the base setup for what we want to do. Let's go and add some simulations to this. So let's first go over here, click on Command D. Let's go to Simulations, Scene, turn off Gravity. Then we can select all of these, because I know that I want all of them to have some sort of weird simulation in them. And let's click Cloth over here. So now, if we press play, it should react to like cloth, but it is, I think we have things intersecting with each other. Like these I can tell are intersecting. Let's bring this one down. Are they still intersecting? It does seem. Cool. This one also seems to be intersecting with itself, but we should be able to fix that by putting this into a remesh. Actually, let's select all 3 of these because these 3 are not working that well. Let's put them into a remesh. Now press play. The reason for that is that we need to put our cloth tag on our remesh. Perfect. Cool. Now they are simulated. This one is acting a bit weird. And this one over here, let's see if we can fix that. I think it's because of this little section over here. So let's go into our sweep. Is it this? I think it's also our spline itself. So let me do that. Go into our spline. Let's make this a little bit smoother. Let's see if that solves our problem over here. And let's also change this to something like uniform. Cool, I think that's working fine. It's a bit slow for some reason, which is a bit odd. Something like this should be working pretty fast. Is it because of our cube over here? I'm gonna try to turn these off. Okay, let's work on these for now. Cool, with all of these, we're kind of going to do a similar type of method. We're going to add let's start with our spheres over here. Let's select all of them. Actually, yeah, all of these are fine. And let's do this one as well. Just put them all together. Let's search for a vertex map. And in our vertex map, this is something that I've done in one of my previous tutorials, but we're going to use a formula field. If I can find it, there it is. And let's just see. Cool, at the moment that's fine. Let's just change the speed of some of these. So at the moment they're all going to be using one formula field. Let's create like 3 different. Let's maybe make this 2 and 180, and this one can be 3 and 270. Cool, and let's delete this, put in 2 over here. Let's put in 1 and do the same thing over here. Let's see, and now they should all be going at like different paces. Awesome, cool. Now we're going to use this vertex map to drive our cloth over here. So can I do this to all of them? Can I set it open all of them? And here we're all going to pretty much control the same thing. We just want some like weird movement throughout the scene, and I find that using vertex maps with like a field or like with a noise works as a really good way to like procedurally make some like cool movement without having to do much work. Because yeah, the point of this is just to be, you know, this is just for the fun of it. This is just art, or at least that's what I was trying to do. Is I was just trying to make like a art piece that was just kind of fun, easy to do, just experimenting with like different techniques, creating something cool. Cool, so let's kind of change all of them. Maybe 20 and 120. Cool, so I think when you guys are doing this, change up the different things over here. I think just with the purpose of this tutorial, it will just take so long. Cool, now we're getting some pretty cool things. We can see that there's a few issues over here. I think we can already see with this that we need a bunch more segments. So let's change this to 60. Let's go into this sphere over here. I think the reason for that is that it's too slow. So let's use this one because then it should have a better result. Nice. I don't really mind them moving around too much, but if I kind of want them to stay in their same positions. So what we can do is that we can go into all of these, go into the mix animation, click on with pins, and let's set this to something like low, like 1, maybe 10. And now you'll see it'll kind of stay in the same position. Yeah, I think that looks kind of cool. It's weird. It's just weird, but I like the weirdness. Let's also increase this to like 60. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think we can keep this as it is. I do kind of like that weirdness. We might change that later on, but I think for now, this works. Let's go over here. Let's increase the number of subdivisions. Something like that. Should get some more details in there. But yeah, I think that looks kind of cool. Again, we're just creating weird stuff. Let's go over here. Let's do the same thing with this. We can just copy this vertex map. Actually, no, we don't need a vertex map on this. I rate with this one. We just add a bit of turbulence into the scene. So add some scale over here. So now we'll get some movement. But again, I want this to kind of keep its same position. So let's set this to like 10. So now we'll get some movement, maybe 5. So we still get movement, but it's a little bit more controlled or staying within our frame over here, which is what I want. Cool. Let's do the same thing with our other one over here. Set this to like 5. Set this to like a balloon over here. 100, 100, and 120. There's no right answers for these. It's just trying weird things to get some weird results. I like that. I think that looks cool. Cool. I'm kind of happy with this. I think, let me just, I'll leave the cube like that. You can add some simulations onto that if you want to, but I think for now I'm just gonna keep it as is. I like this. It's all kind of staying where it is, and it's kind of created this like pretty cool composition. Cool. Let's go and do some lighting and texturing. So let's set up our render scene over here. This is what it's looking like so far. It's kind of cool. I kind of want to bring this more into frame. So let's just grab our spline. And we can maybe do that. And bring this down. Cool. Yeah, I think that looks looking pretty cool. Let's go and light our scene. So I'm just going to do what I usually do, at least with the latest Cinema 4D update, is just take a legacy dome light so that we can get our legacy texture over here. So that would be just a same thing, 4D shader into the dome light. It's just the legacy shader because the latest shader doesn't do it for some reason. It's really annoying, to be honest. Cool. And now we have this type of gradient, which is exactly what I want. Let's go and add some more lights. So let's go over here, lights. Let's lock our camera. Go into here. Let's go to camera and then say use selected object. I just think this is a nice way to art direct your lighting. So I think something like that's kind of cool. Just maybe increase that a bit. Yeah, this kind of like side lighting is quite nice. Let's duplicate the light. And then let's get something from the front, but soft. Oh, I'm moving the wrong one. Yeah, I think that's how the lighting works quite nicely. Maybe with our... Then let's go over here, just go default camera. And now we can go back into our camera. I think I want to take our cube and let's go into... actually, we can do this with all of them. Let's just select all of these. Let's add on a Redshift object tag, go to our geometry and turn on tessellation, just so we can get a little bit smoother edges, because yeah, the cube is looking a little bit odd. Wonder what happened to it that it ended up like that. Wasn't intentional, but I don't hate it. It's like weird. We'll add like something weird to that. Cool. So let's go and texture these. So let's create a few textures. Let's start with this big one over here. I'm going to take this here. Let's make it not at all rough. Let's change it to something like a green. When I'm doing something like this, I would usually use a site like... Let me just... like a site like this called Coolers, we can go over here, we can explore palettes, and then we can find like a color palette that we like. And I'd usually use like a color palette like this for my render, at least with the one I was using in Artwork as my color palette basis. And I kind of used that and just took a bunch of colors from that. But I think for this one, we can use something over here. Although none of this is really sticking out to me. Yeah, I guess we can use something like this where it's all kind of the same colors. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I guess for you guys, you can choose whichever one you want. Let's go back over here. And let's paste that. Cool. Yeah, I think that actually looks quite cool. Cool. And then I want to go over here and let's change our IOR. Something like that. I think looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like it's within itself, which I think is pretty cool. Let's also maybe add some coat. A bit of like roughness over there. Fair to. Yeah, I think that works as a basic for now. Let's create another one. Let's put it over here. And with this one, we're just going to turn on the transmission all the way. And let's turn down the roughness a bit. Still a bit of it, but... and then let's raise the IOR this time. Let's also go in here. And let's go search for some max on noise. Let's just put it into a bump map. Plug this in here. And let's see what we're working with. I don't like that noise. Let's see if we can find something that works a little bit better. Let's try this. Just to kind of create these little bumps over there. No, I don't like that. Maybe this one, if we had to make it bigger. Yeah, I think that looks kind of cool. Let's also just go into our color over here and make it slightly blue. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Let's duplicate the texture. Let's apply it to this top one over here. And I want to take this transmission and pretty much make it like black. But I also want to make it quite rough. So let's go over here and put our roughness there. Looks kind of cool. I think I want to put some coat on it so that's like a little bit more glossy on top of itself, which I think looks quite nice. Cool. What do we do with this one now? Let's create another texture. Let's go for something a little bit more plasticky. Let's find, what was the color palette? This one. Let's check this color over here. Paste it here. It's kind of cool. It is a bit of the same. Maybe if I made it like brighter. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's go into our subsurface scattering, because I think I want to add some subsurface scattering to this. Let's do the same thing. Let's just bring that all the way up. Turn this on over here. And let's just let a few frames play so that we can get what it would look like when it's actually in movement. Nice. Let's go over here and in our subsurfaces increase the scale to something like 10. Maybe 5. I think that looks quite nice. But maybe we want something that's not as like the same color. I don't know, let's try a few different colors. That looks tasty. I know I want something a little bit darker. Maybe if I inverted these colors. So if I made this one, that's not the color that I selected. This and this one like whiter. Guess that kind of works. It's a bit more pink than I'd like. It's kind of cool. I think I liked what we originally had. So something like that. Maybe I'll come back and change the color. But I think for now this is fine. And then with these ones, we're going to do something a bit different. So let's select these ones. So it's going to be this, and this. Let's just group them together. Let's call these fogs, because we're going to turn them into fog. Let's select all of them and put them into a volume builder. Cool, now they'll disappear, but we can change this to fog and set it to something like 2. 2 should be fine. This one has disappeared because there's no thickness to it. Can we fix that over here? If I made this like 1, no, I don't think that'll work. I think if we just go over here and add a thicken modifier to this and put this over here and set this to something like 1 or 2, maybe 3. Let's also go over here, select these, and let's add in a fog smooth, and then just bring this down a bit. Cool, let's go back and press play again, just so we can get these to animate. And then now let's create some fog materials. So we're going to go over here to Pyro Volume. Let's start off with our main dude over here. We should be able to apply this over here, and we'll see that nothing will happen. That's because it doesn't know to read it. So now what we can do is that we can go over here and we can select our volume builder 4, which is this one over here. And we can do the same with this one over here. Why are we not seeing anything? Oh, we're not seeing anything because it is not playing, but there we go. Now we can see our little character over there. I wonder if I had to remove this. Cool. Let's make this a similar type of blue. And let's raise up our coefficient over here. That looks quite fluffy. Looks like fog over there. But I want to adjust this a little bit more. Let's bring this out. I think bringing it over here creates this like really nice soft look, which I quite like. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Let's go and duplicate this. Let's apply it to our sphere over here. And we're going to do the same thing. Change this to volume builder 3. And now it should pop up. Let's create a different one. Maybe make it like white. Advanced. I think I want it to like almost be like that. Maybe over here we can add like a bit of blue. See if that, maybe a bit of deep blue. Yeah, just adds like a tiny hint of that to that. And then now we just need these two over here. Let's just duplicate this again. Put this over here. Change this to volume builder 3. Sorry, volume builder 2. Here. Volume builder 1, and then one more. And let's make this volume builder. Cool. So now we have these. Let's just go and change the colors of these. What could this be? I think this needs to be also something bright so that we have like this kind of like contrast over here. Let's select this color over here, which I kind of like. Obviously I'm affecting the wrong one. Which one is this? It's this. I see, I think that is kind of cool. It's, oh yeah, with this, the further you bring it down, the denser it'll be. The further you move it out, the less dense it will be. And let's go over here. Maybe make this like purple. It's just like a lot of winging it until you make something that you think is kind of cool. But yeah, I think that looks quite cool. My microphone died there, but I think we're back. But yeah, I think this is a kind of cool render. It kind of shows you guys how I got this. If we go back to this scene over here, you'll see that it's pretty much the exact same thing. There's just a bit more, I spent a little bit more time with the textures. This one was a pretty cool one over here. Let me show you how I did this. Oh, and there's also a bunch of these, which I think we can also add if you want, which is the exact same technique as these big ones over here. You'll just see that these are just, there we go, ropes. It's just a bunch of splines, and these just have rope tags on them so that they just move subtly. I guess we can also add that. Might as well add a little bit more detail in here. Let's go and add some like splines over here. I'm not going to spend too much time with this, as it's just going to be showing you guys the basics. Let's just make 3 of them. Maybe rotate this one 180. Bring this up, and let's just maybe move this a bit on the z-axis so it's not intersecting. Cool. Then I'm going to select all 3 of these, go to simulations, and I'm going to add a rope onto them. And then also at the moment they have no segments, so let's go over here, set this to uniform, something like 20. Also, excuse the noise in the background if you can hear it. There's some dude revving his bike. A bit annoying, but it's okay. And now when you press play, we should get these to just move around a bit without turbulence, which I think is cool. And with these, let's go and add a RS object tag, go over here, set this to like capsules, and let's do the same thing that we did with our other splines, is that we're just going to create a kind of rope like that. And now you can see they're over there, and we could now apply a texture onto them or whatever we want. Let's just use like the ones that we've already made. Cool. And let me show you how I did that other texture. Let's create a new texture over here. Put this on top of this one. Where is this one? This one is this remesh. Okay, let's delete this one. And we're gonna go over here and we're gonna search for a Fresnel. Nope. And why it's disappeared? We're gonna put this into our opacity over here. And now we can just adjust this a bit. Let's something like maybe 1.8. Maybe let's add like a bit of coating onto it. Bit of transmission. No, that's too much transmission. Can also plug this into like the color over here. Maybe add a bit of emission. And now we can get this kind of like ghostly kind of look, which I thought was kind of cool. I can go back into this project file and show you guys. Let's see. Which one is it? Yeah, oh, okay, I literally just used the Fresnel over here. Just plugged into the opacity, but it's set to like something like 1.4. Did I change anything else? IRR is the same. Okay, interesting. So it is, oh, and there is also just a bit of emission. But yeah, it seems like it's mainly the Fresnel over here. But I think the reason that you can see it a bit more is that there's a bunch more movement in this specific spline over here. You'll see that these are the exact same. So over here, it's the same volume, where it's just the pyro output with some colors over here. I spent some bit more time with like the absorption coefficient and these refining it. Also, this like scale, this like shadow density can be kind of cool. You can see that it either applies more shadow or less shadow into it. And I just adjusted that until it was something with my liking. And the same with this over here. This looks the same. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. This project file will be up on my Patreon. If you're looking for the other one, it's just in the takes over here. And you can click on like take 1 or take 2 and you can get the 2 different color variations that I created. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you guys thought. It's a bit more abstract and weird. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, till next time. Peace.